Hello and welcome to today's update. One of the things here at Trading Safely is if the markets are quiet, so are we. We don't tend to get too many patterns appear or markets moving to any of our major support or resistance points, and so we tend to be less active. And the last couple of days have been a good example of this, somewhat unusual after payroll. Once again, no signals of note on anything, and we do scan a lot of markets. We have started earnings season, so I think it's worth having a bit of a look at the financial stocks. First of all, one of the long-standing positions is SPPI, Spectrum Pharmaceuticals, and the reason I'm calling it up is that finally, after this surge higher, the market has retraced somewhat and formed a support point, which is at 1309, I think 1318. So finally we have a historical reference point, so we don't want to see a daily or a weekly close below that point. It was a pretty good performance yesterday. Do like to sometimes compare it to the overall ETF of biotech just to see where we are in the absence of much going on elsewhere. This is IBB. Had a pretty strong performance, has sort of held a weekly breakout point, not particularly enthusiastically, had some big volatility yesterday. Financials were in focus because there were some results coming out, primarily Goldman Sachs, and this was a sell signal. There was a major sell signal about a year ago, quite a long time. Here we go, it's all the way back here. Sorry, not that far back. This was the leading sector, so regional banks particularly, but banks were loved after the election. We had what's called a blow-off top situation on some of the regional banks, which is there is an article written about that if you go back into the archives. So what has been number one then went sideways for a very long time, having retraced, tried to get back to the ideal point, to get short at 255, didn't manage it, and yesterday we had what's called classic good news, bad action. So they beat, but within the story, beyond the numbers as it were, their bond trading was not as good. So opened higher, collapsed. There's a slam dunk sell, but it was right into the weekly breakout point, so it's not a call to action. This is a position that has been taken profit on some time ago, but just worth monitoring. If I do Morgan Stanley, that also came out, that was up slightly, but it was actually down compared to its opening price. That also beat as well. Other ones that were out there, Harley Davidson, Hog. They missed slightly. Was sitting at final support, this final weekly level. There's a lot of volatility. It was opened, rallied very strongly, went back down again. In the end, has formed a positive, but it missed. So if you are connecting results to technicals, that is what you would call the opposite of Goldman Sachs good news, bad action, but difficult to get overly enthusiastic on that one. Looking at earnings seasons today, nothing particularly big out, but NTRS was part of super regional banks, and was the strongest group at one point earlier on in the year. Had some results there where it didn't like. A reference point for today for our traders is 99.30. So wait for the results, see what they are, and then they make a decision whether they want to get involved. Because it has been a number one sector in the past and in the more recent past, never really that interested in getting long, because as far as our theory is concerned, there's a lot of old residual longs that if it does get up here, will be looking to take their minor profits. Okay, as it's pretty quiet, we'll leave it at that.